Hi, you're with India Post Live, India's first online streaming news conversation web TV, where you can too participate in this conversation. And today we're talking about Shikhar Dhawan, the Wisden Cricketer of the Year. I'm Ishan Russell, and you too can join in this conversation. What do you think about Shikhar Dhawan, his career, of the choice of him being the Wisden Cricketer of the Year? You can write into us. IndiaPostLive.com is the name of the website, and also you can hashtag India Post Live or use the Twitter handle at India Post Live, and you can join us via Twitter. First, let's run you through why Shikhar Dhawan has been chosen as the Wisden Cricketer of the Year.
He is perhaps more famous for his moustache than his batting record in recent times. But our homegrown boy's talent has been recognized by none other than the Bible of Cricket, Wisden magazine. Shikhar Dhawan, India's swashbuckling opening batsman, made Aussie bowlers look pedestrian as he smashed his way to 187 off just 174 balls on his Test debut at Mohali in 2013. His dream run continued into the Champions Trophy in England the same year, where he amassed 363 runs to win the Player of the Tournament award. He averaged 90 in the series, helping India finish as winners. Four other players have also made it with him. They are England's Joe Root and Charlotte Edwards, and Australians Chris Rogers and Ryan Harris. This prestigious award has been won by players like Brian Lara and Kevin Peterson. Let's hope this good news will keep Shikhar regain the confidence that made his moustaches look as menacing as his batting.
Alright, and to discuss what makes Shikhar Dhawan the Wisden Cricketer of the Year, we'll soon have Dilip Ramachandran. He's the editor of Wisden India, and he'll be joining us live via Skype from London. Also in our studio, Mr. Shekhar Luthra joins us. He's the assistant editor of DNA and has written on cricket for many, many years and knows Shikhar Dhawan personally as well. And Talat Masood Siddiqui joins us. He is, of course, running this famous blog called allaboutcricket.com.blogspot. So we'll just try to get through to Mr. Dilip Premachandran. But first, Shikhar, I'll start with you. As far as Shikhar is concerned, what sets him apart? Why is he so special? And why this choice of him being Wisden Cricketer of the Year?
I think the best thing about Shikhar is that he's so simple. Shikhar on and off the field is the same. Unlike most of the cricketers, when I say more, it's more than 99% of cricketers who are off the field are very different characters, and on the field they are different. But Shikhar, for me, for most of the journalists or for cricket fans, he's the same. Very simple, plain, and when I say mindless, it's not that he doesn't have mind, but he's someone who doesn't boy, a very simple boy, and there is a that kid inside him which makes him so special. And I have seen him for last more than a decade, right from 2000 onwards. I think Shikhar has not changed in his batting style. He was always been a great batsman, good batsman. There were so many technical flaws if we talk about technically, but again he has managed to overcome that only because of his right attitude and right application, I would say, on the field. And that's what makes Shikhar so special, I would say.
How was the year for him, if we talk in terms of stats, Tala?
It was a phenomenal year. If you see, he technically performed brilliantly in the Champions Trophy, as we just saw. Moreover, he started off with a bang, and to come and play the kind of knock that he played on a day 3 track, let's be very honest, batting on day 3 is not the easiest. So he came made a debut on day 3, got to 100, scored 187, not out, and then from there he went to England where he got runs, then he went to New Zealand where he got runs. Of course, there have been times wherein he's not performed very well. He has some technical flaws with the rising ball in his chest, but those are things that will get modified as he keeps on playing. But this year for him has been phenomenal, and it's been phenomenal because he's competed with people like Virat Kohli, who's done brilliantly as well, but he's just outsmarted them because in the way he's approached his cricket, I guess.
What sets his approach apart from others, Shikhar?
I think this is about taking cricket so easy. the way he plays, the way he paces his innings, the way he takes on the opponent bowler. I think that makes cricket so simple. It looks so simple, and that's what Shikhar speciality, I would say. Because Shikhar, I remember, during 2005, I think I remember when Gautam Gambhir got selected. This was the time when they were playing a Ranji Trophy match in Firozshah Kotla. So Mr. Dilip Vengsaka was the chairman of selector. He came, he was talking to us, two or three journalists. He was trying to know about Gautam and Shikhar. They were the main two contenders. And that was the time. I remember morning 8:15 when they were warming up. So I just, got hold of Shikhar. I just told him, Shikhar, this is the moment. You are right on track. You have been making runs. And today is probably the main day. If you score, you are there. And he just laughed at me. Kata, bhaiya, no, apna best karunga. But, that's the way Shikhar is. And on the same day, Gautam scored some 60-80 runs and Shikhar could not score. I mean, he got out early. And he was well set, 20-30, and suddenly he got a rising delivery. He went for that, pole shot. He got caught. And that's how he lost his place. Otherwise, he would have been in the team on the same day when Gautam Gambhir got selected. But unfortunately, this was not his time and he had to wait so much. But even during that time, when I thought, or most of us thought, that he would be going under depression, because his juniors have also made it to the Indian team, but he was always been the same, always that chirpy, and always in a happy mood. And even when he got selected, his attitude was the same. And I think about Shikhar, this is the best thing I like, that Shikhar on and off field is almost same. That's why people call him Gabbar. Gabbar not because of his mustache and other things, but also because of his attitude. Sab theek hai, sab masti hai, fearlessness.
All right, Mr. Dilip Premachandran joins us from London. He's, of course, the editor of Wisden India. Thanks so much for coming in. Why Shikhar Dhawan? What made you choose him as the cricketer of the year?
Well, first things first, I didn't choose him. It's the Wisden Almanac based in the UK. Ours, the Indian one is completely different. What made them choose him? The 5 cricketers of the year are usually based on performances during the English summer. And the highlight of the English summer last year, apart from the Ashes, was the Champions Trophy. And he was by far the most dominant player in that tournament. I mean, back-to-back hundreds. He had a good innings against Pakistan as well. Finished the tournament strongly. So yeah, I mean, a global event in the English summer, and he was undoubtedly one of the stars. So that's one of the reasons why he was picked.
What makes Shikhar Dhawan so special? I mean, is he one of the future batsmen for India in terms of top class? Do we see him consistently perform? As an expert, what would you suggest?
I think he's definitely part of the future team, both tests and limited overs. He's got a fair way to go to catch up with the likes of Virat Kohli in terms of international cricket, because he's only playing a little over a year, especially in tests. But I think what makes him exciting for the fans, especially, is the way he plays. He plays most formats the same way. If the ball's there to be hit, he hits it. It's very much that Sehwag school of batting, I'd say, and that makes it very exciting for those who are watching.
All right, Shikhar, but it took him a long time to come into the team. You were mentioning earlier that even players junior to him, like Virat Kohli, I think it was, 4 years junior, if you were mentioning correctly, came into the team much earlier. What took him so long? Was it temperament? Was it just timing? What was it?
It was probably, it was his approach, I would say. He was not able to reconcile to the fact that probably, he's losing time. He has to probably, do something different in order to catch up with the younger players. He was always playing like the same, what Dilip said, he makes it so simple, and that's what he was doing. In between, he got also injured, that shoulder injury, almost, wasted 1 year, one complete season for him. But even after that, he was diving, he was doing all kind of tricks on the field. He's very lively, he's a live wire. He'll sledge you, he will, dive across the field. He'll never think about the injuries. I remember that match against Andhra also, probably at the Roshan Ara, when he got injured also during that time. he got injured. I don't remember, but he got injured and then had to miss 2 or 3 matches because of that. So that was a crucial time, and he knew. But because of the outfield, there was some patchy outfield there, and he was standing there. He fielded like a champion, always been like that. So he never cared about. He has always taken his team. He has also always kept their interest much higher than his individual interest. But I think in the later phase, what we all know, Shikhar is a changed man because of the relationship, because of the woman that has come into his life, his wife, and he got married to a much older woman, who has two grown-up girls also, and he talks so proudly about his children, about his wife. I think the difference between the yesteryear's Shikhar Dhawan and now the new Shikhar Dhawan is probably this relationship. She has made him so calm, she has made him so mature, which Shikhar was never in his life. But I think in his batting also, we can see a lot of difference now. He plays lot of sensible strokes, although again very fearless character. But still, he has that
applying himself.
He's applying himself. That mindless creature has become a very mindful creature, and probably this relationship has transformed Shikhar Dhawan into a great batsman.
All right, Dilip, he's not one of the most technically gifted players, but he still manages to put a lot of runs on the board, and also manages to put fear in the opposition mindset. So when such a player goes through a bad patch, it could be a really bad patch, isn't that so?
Yeah, but that tends to be true of most players. I don't think there have been too many players who've played cricket for a length of time who haven't gone through a bad patch. Rahul Dravid, who we consider having had the best technique amongst most Indian batsmen, he went through a terrible patch between, say, 2007 and 9. So it happens to everyone. I think the thing is, when you have an attacking batsman like a Shikhar or a Sehwag, when they're going through a bad patch, it looks worse because the highs are much higher than they are for normal cricketers, because they're so entertaining. They play so many shots that when they're not scoring, you tend to magnify that failure more with those kind of players.
All right, Tala, but let's talk about his technique. What is with his technique? I mean, for a young kid watching Shikhar Dhawan, is he a good example to follow, or should they still stick to Rahul Dravid or Sachin Tendulkar?
It depends what format that the young kid wants to play in, technically. But I would still say that when Shikhar is trying to play on the offside, when the ball is slightly outside the off stump, he's flawless, because he has that hand and eye coordination going, like Mr. Dilip was saying, the Sehwag kind of batting. I remember Sanjay Manjrekar once comparing him to a left-handed Sehwag, and that's a very fair comparison to make. But moreover, I think technically where he slightly needs to work on is the rising delivery, because he cannot give up the shot. It's a very high scoring shot. No cricketer I know has got those many runs without giving up a hook or a pull shot. It's a high scoring shot. The problem with him is that probably he needs to get into better positions to be playing that hook shot, because I remember watching him in South Africa and New Zealand, where he got out to deliveries which were rising and hitting him in the ribs. So that is one area of concern which I think Shikhar needs to work on.
All right, interesting point he makes over there. Would you agree with that, Shekhar?
Yes, completely. I think his technique is, again, I would say a good, decent technique. But there are flaws, like he has mentioned, that rising deliveries. But he also tackles it well. Only thing is probably, with most of the Indian batsmen is, when we go overseas, there is a difference of, pace that we are facing. The pace is about 5 to 10 kilometers per hour is, difference. And also, ball is skidding, the height is different. So that's where, most of our batsmen get puzzled. But otherwise, if you look at Shikhar, even his debut innings in Mohali, that was flawless. Even during that time when he got balls to hit across horizontal bat, he was doing it perfectly. So it is more to do with probably the pitches or the bounce rather than the technique. As far as the Indian pitches are concerned, he can be very comfortable and very sound batsman for that matter.
All right, Dilip, this perhaps would be a problem for Shikhar Dhawan. Any other things you see that could hamper his future prospects as far as playing for Team India is concerned?
No, I think the biggest advantage, like my friend Shekhar just mentioned, is I mean, he's been around a long time, and clearly the relationship has helped him settle down. And I think the advantage with players who've long time get into the team is that they tend to appreciate what they have a lot more. They've seen the hard times. They've spent 8 to 10 years sitting outside watching others get their chances. So when they eventually do get their chances, they value it a lot. And I really don't see him getting complacent or letting slip that place very easily. So I think he's going to be around for a good 3, 4 years. The technical flaws I've never really been too fussed about. If you look at somebody like Saurav Ganguly, I could think of a couple players as well, Jonathan Trott. I mean, all these people have had very successful careers with while having this problem against the ball directed at the body. There are ways to work around it. You can duck out of the way. You cannot play it. In Shikhar's case, I think he will keep playing it. He just has to be a bit more judicious about which ball, which one.
You wanted to comment on that?
Well, I think very fair comment, I would say, because Shikhar has the ability to overcome all these flaws. Even on the wickets, because in Delhi was opting for faster tracks in between and lot in between. So on those tracks, lot of people used to get frustrated because of the higher bounces. They were not able to adjust. But Shikhar was the one. I remember about 2007-8 there was a season he scored about 4 to 5 centuries in a year. So even on the faster tracks, Roshan Ara or even away Punjab or somewhere else also, so he was able to do those adjustments. Only thing is you have to understand which ball to leave or which ball to play. That's the only thing which Dilip is saying. There are so many international players who could still get away with all these technical flaws, and Shikhar is probably one of them. But only thing is probably Shikhar has matured. I hope he will mature even further, because even now there are so many areas mentally, I would say, because Shikhar has a very strong liking and disliking thing. He in his team also there are so many good friends. Most of people are his friends, but if there are not one or two, that's because of his liking and disliking. He has a very strong thing about his teammates. So probably he will also overcome that. He has been a great teammate. He throws himself so much for a team's cause, and probably the relationship, as I have said, with the time he will mature even further, and he could be probably even better as a batsman that we can actually think or judge now.
Tala, you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I'd wanted to add to that is, like very rightly pointed out, players who are as destructive as Shikhar Dhawan is, it's just about getting in the right mindset. And it's just becoming that mental toughness comes with playing cricket. He's technically, yes, he's at the international level, he's still very young. He's 28, 29 years old, but at the international level, he's still very young. So as he keeps on playing, that mental toughness will come. And I have no doubt in my mind that even on fast tracks, he's going to get us runs. Because once a batsman goes into bat, and the first ball that he plays on the bat, he gets an idea how he's thinking. And I think that with Shikhar Dhawan is very evident when he plays the first ball. I mean, I remember Virendra Sehwag starting off that tournament in 2011 with the 4 of every first ball. And the games that he didn't, he got out. So that first ball gives it away to players who are so destructive. So I think it's just about a mindset, but I definitely will peg my money on Shikhar Dhawan to being a performer for at least 4 years from now.
All right, and Dilip, do you see him being set as India's opener now? Do you think there is still a question mark? Because recently we saw in the T20 World Cup that he was replaced with Ajinkya Rahane because of form.
Yeah, I don't think we should compare formats. The only thing we need to consider about him as a test opener is that his last game in New Zealand he made 100. So he will definitely be in the team when we come to England in a couple of months' time. I think these two series are the key, though. A tour of England and a tour of Australia soon after that. That's pretty much the hardest test for any opener to face. Australia because of the quality of the bowling there and the bounce on Australian pitches. England because it usually moves around a lot off the seam. That makes it hard for opening batsmen. So if he can get through these two tours with decent success, I think he'll be around in the team for a good few years to come.
So critical year for him.
It's important also because what Dilip has said makes a lot of sense, because he should be considered as a test opener. Not we should not be comparing him with the last 2 or 3 T20 innings, because Shikhar Dhawan at this age, I think this is a time for him to be very judicious about his choice of
But
the
can you
games.
be? I mean,
Well, you have to be in order to prolong your career, because he has missed so many years because of different reasons. But this is a time, if he has to prolong his career at the international or one day for that matter, one day definitely suits him. He has to probably say goodbye to T20 formats. He has to play very judicially in the IPL or this shorter formats, because this is not going to help him. And also because he is one player who is not going to hold himself back when he's playing T20. So he gives everything that he has in the T20. So probably that is also consuming a lot of energy from Shikhar. So this is probably the time at 28, 29 when he has to probably concentrate on the main cricket, and that's where he will be known as, that's where he would be always be considered a good batsman or a bad batsman.
would you agree with that? That T20s perhaps might not be the best cup of tea for him?
Yes. And I will again go back to Virender Sehwag. You see his test record.
Yes.
You see his test record. They are very similar players. The point is that these batsmen, I mean, the kind of cricket they want to play, they hit the balls in their areas. He is best suited for Test cricket, and he will be my opener in England, and I'm sure that he's going to go to Australia as well. So these two tours, very rightly said by Mr. Dilip, are going to be the formative years of Indian cricket. Let's face it that way, because we have two young openers at the top right now, and both two openers will be tested in England and Australia. And Shikhar Dhawan is probably going to do a lot better in England and Australia both.
I would again say, Dilip also know, we were all covering that, Dev Dhar and Dilip Trophy a few years back before the IPL, when Rohit Sharma came into the limelight. He was technically so correct. I have never seen anyone playing like Rohit Sharma. And we all used to chat that probably he is the answer to India's Rahul Dravid, when he'll retire, he'll be the next one. But what happened? IPL is the main reason for all this, destruction, I would say. Rohit Sharma is not the Rohit Sharma we knew. Rohit Sharma now is again bit and pieces player, again with the attitude, with again lot of off the field, activities. But so I think it is important for the main players, especially like Shikhar or Virat, maybe after 1 or 2, 3 years, probably they have to concentrate on the real cricket. If they don't, probably all these, these IPLs or T20s format could not only add to their, it could also result in as any injury or kind of, but also, they'll take a lot of energy, that will swipe a lot of energy out of them.
All right, Dilip, would you agree with that? That perhaps T20 is not the best format suited for Shikhar Dhawan, and he should have a rethink about that?
I'm not sure I agree with that particular point. I think it comes down to each individual, really. I mean, you look at Virat Kohli, whichever format he plays, for whichever team he plays, he's making runs, and he's making a lot of runs. I think in the last 2 years, he averages over 50 in every single format: Test cricket, ODIs, T20 internationals. So it's completely down to the player. If you have the focus, if you have the work ethic, I think you can play 3 formats. AB de Villiers is another example. You can play all 3 formats and still be a great batsman. It's entirely down to you as an individual, how seriously you take your training, how seriously you take your time off and relax. So I don't want to say this guy should only play Tests, this guy should only play T20s, because ultimately they have short careers. They have to maximize those careers, and who are we to tell them what to do? I think each player needs to decide, okay, this is how my career is best going forward, by playing this much cricket and this much only. But I think when somebody's Virat's age, for example, they can play all 3 formats provided the focus is right. And in his case, he's a great example of how perfect focus makes you a great player across formats.
All right, interesting points that he makes over there.
Well, again, what he says also, because they have shorter career, I understand, but probably, the difference between Virat and Shikhar is those 3-4 years. And that's what probably, you have
Kohli
to...
made it to the team before Shikhar Dhawan did.
Sorry?
Kohli made it to the team before Shikhar Dhawan did.
Exactly.
And 4 years.
4 years, his junior, and also, these 4 years makes a lot of sense, make a lot of difference to any individual. He's no younger, he's not getting younger, Shikhar. Whereas Virat still has, what I said, 2-3 years probably more to play all three formats. Because ultimately it is your energy. Your energy is decreasing by every passing day. You have to utilize in a way that you are able to utilize every single bit of it. So whether Shikhar is in a frame of mind, he is definitely looking very, very fitter, very, after he has made it to the team, he is looking much younger or fitter for that matter. But again, your age will definitely decide whether you have to pick all three formats or maybe retire from one format.
All right, I'd just like to remind all our viewers that you too can. I'll just
Dilip
come to you,
is saying.
Dilip, but I'll just like to remind all our viewers that you too can join in this conversation at India Post Live on Twitter. That's our Twitter handle, or hashtag India Post Live to your tweets. And IndiaPostLive.com is the website where you can log in and post your comments. Yes, Dilip, you had a comment.
No, I was just saying, I mean, age these days to a large extent is a number because of the fitness work that players do. I don't think you judge them so much on age anymore. I think of somebody like Michael Hussey, who is making a huge contribution in all formats for Australia till he retired last year. He was making a huge contribution to Chennai Super Kings in the IPL, and that was the games he played for Australia. So it basically boils down to how fit you are, how seriously you take your cricket. And in Hussey's case, once he realized that he didn't have the energy to go on and play all the formats, he gave up a couple of formats. And that's what you do. So these also come to that stage where they think, okay, I can't do all three. I can't do all three plus the IPL, and I'll have to, roll back on something. And that's how it's going to be. But for the moment, at least for the next 2 to 3 years, I can see somebody like Shikhar playing all three formats and doing well in all three formats.
All right, final comments, gentlemen, because we've absolutely run out of time. But Dilip, we'll start with you. What would your one piece of advice to Shikhar Dhawan be for his future career?
I would just say carry on doing what you're doing, because whatever thing that 15 months has clearly been working for him. He looks like a guy who enjoys playing cricket, and that's the key. I mean, if you talk to the greats, they'll always say that the best periods of their careers were when they most enjoyed playing cricket. And he right now looks like a guy who's enjoying it. So keep doing that and the runs will come.
All right, and how much of the moustache has to contribute to his game? Because we see Ravindra Jadeja and we see Shikhar Dhawan with those big swirly moustaches, and many would say that perhaps that is their secret, like Samson's hair.
This has a lot to do with his mental state also, because he's always been a large-hearted man. So probably, my advice to him is be the way you are. You are always been, taken non-serious. You are always been taken as a clown in the team. So be that. Enjoy your cricket, and you are best suited when you don't think about cricket. Don't think, sleep well, go there, enjoy your
You don't see him becoming captain?
Well, probably I don't, seriously. Because Shikhar, I've seen him, captaining in some of the games. But I don't think that he's best suited to do that. He's always best suited when there is no pressure on his mind, and that's will probably help him flourish even more.
Okay, Tala, I'll let you be quiet through this conversation, so I'll give you the final word on Shikhar Dhawan, your piece of advice and anything you would want to add to that.
No, I think anybody who's not seen that innings that he played in South Africa, 248 in just YouTube and see it. It's an exceptional innings.
Oh, yes.
248 of 127 balls or something he got. I think that's an exhibition of cricket. Everybody should watch it who loves cricket. And secondly, as Mr. Shekhar was rightly pointing out, be a clown, play as you're playing, and don't lose the moustache.
Don't lose the moustache. That is where your power lies. Thanks very much, Dilip, for coming in all the way from London. And Shikhar and Tala, as always, it's a pleasure to have you in the studio. Well, on that note, we'll wish Shikhar Dhawan all the best for the coming series. Of course, there's England, there's Australia, the big series to define his career. And we wish him all the best. Hopefully, he's the Wisden Cricketer of the Year next year as well. On that note, we'll wrap up over here. But the conversations, of course, continue right here on India Post Live.